Immigration tensions in Britain are once again boiling over. Across towns and cities, protests have erupted outside hotels that currently house asylum seekers, turning otherwise quiet neighborhoods into flashpoints of national debate. Demonstrators chant, "Stop the boats," while insisting they speak for local communities who feel unheard. One such site, the Bell Hotel in Epping, just outside London, has become a symbol of this unrest. Anger intensified after an Ethiopian asylum seeker staying at the hotel was charged with assaulting a minor girl. News of the case spread quickly, fueling outrage and drawing thousands of protesters. The hotel, once an ordinary building, is now at the center of a struggle between local councils, the government, and furious citizens. Legal battles soon followed. Last week, a London High Court ruled in favor of Epping Forest District Council, granting them the authority to shut down the hotel due to disruption caused by unprecedented protests. But the relief was short-lived. On Friday, August 29th, the Court of Appeals overturned that ruling, siding instead with the government and hotel operators, allowing asylum seekers to remain. In court, judges explained that while the protests were disruptive, granting the injunction would set a dangerous precedent. It could encourage more demonstrations by signaling that pressure in the streets can override lawful government policy. In their reasoning, the judges emphasized the importance of preserving the status quo until a full trial could be held. And with that, the temporary closure order imposed earlier in August was lifted. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour government defended the verdict, insisting that asylum accommodation must continue, even in the face of rising local opposition. But this decision has further inflamed an already tense debate. Immigration has long been one of the most divisive issues in British politics, and in 2025, the situation has reached a breaking point. This year alone, Britain has recorded record migrant arrivals, more than 28,000 people, most of them crossing the English Channel in small, overcrowded boats. Each new arrival adds pressure to a housing system already at breaking point, a healthcare service overwhelmed with demand, and a criminal justice system stretched thin. The far-right Reform UK party, led by Nigel Farage, has seized on this crisis. Polling at 35% and now leading in national surveys, Reform UK has launched a sweeping new plan called Operation Restoring Justice. Their proposal? To detain and deport up to 600,000 migrants over the next 5 years. Farage has framed this not just as a policy matter, but as a cultural and security issue. In his speeches, he warns of despair and anger rising across the country. He claims that unless the government restores trust and delivers on its promises, Britain risks a collapse in public order. He argues that uncontrolled migration is a direct threat to women's safety, national security, and cultural identity. His words have struck a chord with many frustrated citizens, and rallies inspired by these ideas are spreading quickly. Critics point out that Farage is playing with fire, amplifying anger and turning legitimate concerns into a weapon of political division. But his supporters argue that they are simply voicing truths others are too afraid to say. They cite cases where young men arriving without documentation destroy their passports and mobile phones before entering UK waters, making identification and deportation almost impossible. The sense of crisis is not just statistical, but deeply emotional. Mothers and families who began protesting outside the Epping Hotel now see themselves as part of a nationwide movement. For them, it is not about laws or treaties. It is about the safety of their children, the stability of their communities, and the fear that their way of life is slipping away. This public mood has been building for years. The Channel crossings began with just a trickle of dinghies in 2018 and 2019. Back then, numbers were small, and most arrivals were swiftly deported. But by 2020, that system had broken down. Deportation slowed to a halt, and Britain's borders appeared more porous than ever. Activists like Farage filmed the crossings themselves, warning that the White Cliffs of Dover had become a welcome sign for illegal migration. 5 years later, more than 180,000 migrants have entered Britain through the Channel route. For critics, this is nothing less than an invasion. For others, it is a humanitarian crisis fueled by wars, poverty, and desperation abroad. Even global figures have weighed in. Billionaire Elon Musk has used his vast online platform to amplify support for anti-immigration protesters and far-right politicians, not just in Britain, but across Europe. His involvement has poured even more fuel on an already raging fire. Now Britain stands at a crossroads, with court battles, street protests, and